Hey Debbie, did anybody sign up on the article amendment zoning ordinance?
You ready?
Yes.
Meeting come to order, please. Roll call. Press your present button, please. And record it. Thank you. Staff announcements.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I have several announcements. First of all, you have in front of you a revised set of minutes. It's to correct a typo that was found today. Second item we have is item 24, and we'll make sure I read that out, which is preliminary plat for Arrington Ridge subdivision. Has a revised report in front of you. Third item is we have had a request for a non-agenda item. It is for approval of a water bond for South Creek Rural Retreat. That bond was set some time ago, and they just very recently secured that particular bond. And unless there is any outcry, it would probably be well to hear that tonight. And finally, the comprehensive plan update moves onward. And just wanted to bring to everyone's attention, there is an online survey at www.williamson2040.org. And there's also a Facebook page available too if y'all would care to look at it. Other than that, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Without objection, we'll take the water bond as the last agenda item. Anyone? I see none. It'll be item 27. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Consideration minutes of January 10, 19. Any changes or corrections? Motion made and seconded. Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Wait a minute. Pete? Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Consideration of the consent agenda. Anyone on the commission wish to pull a agenda item on consent for separate review, please say so now. Otherwise, we'll take it as a whole. Anyone? Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll begin under item 3, Burning Tree Farms, performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $188,000. Recommendation, convert to maintenance in the amount of $125,000 for a period of 1 year. Item 4, Chardonnay, Section 3, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $130,000. Recommendation, release the bond. Item 5, Chardonnay, Section 5, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $10,000. Recommendation, $100,000, I beg your pardon. Recommendation, release the bond. Item 6, Chardonnay, Section 5, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $100,000. Recommendation, release the bond. Item 7, Chardonnay, Section 6, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $165,000. Recommendation, release the bond. Item 8, Clovercroft Preserve wastewater area, maintenance bond for landscaping, $8,600. Recommendation, release the bond. Item 9, Dunblane, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $175,000. Recommendation, release the bond. Item 10, Fox and Canyon, Section 1, performance bond for landscaping, $36,300. Recommendation, extending current amount for a period of 6 months and require completion before the next review period. Item 11, Fox and Canyon, Section 1, maintenance bond for sewer improvements, $57,600. Recommendation, extending current amount for a period of 6 months. Item 12, Fox and Canyon, Section 1, performance bond for water, $441,333.75. Recommendation, reduced to in the amount of $73,552.25 until May 2019. Item 13, Fox and Canyon, Section 1, performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $383,000. Recommendation, extend current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 14, Hart's Landmark, maintenance bond for water, $20,600. Recommendation, extend current amount until January 17, 2020. Item 15, Lookaway Farms, wastewater area, maintenance bond for landscaping, $6,000. Recommendation, release the bond. Item 16, Lookaway Farms, Section 1, maintenance bond for landscaping, $13,500. Recommendation, release the bond. Item 17, Lookaway Farms, Section 1, performance bond for wastewater collection, $282,000. Recommendation, extended current amount for a period of 6 months. Item 18, Lookaway Farms, Section 1, performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $493,000. Recommendation, extended current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 19, Silverstream Farm, Section 4D, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $50,000. Recommendation, release the bond. And item 20, Silverstream Farm, Section 4E, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $65,000. Recommendation, release the bond.
Thank you, sir. Comments or questions on consent?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Vote now. Don, try it again, buddy. Thank you. Record a vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 21, public hearings. For those of you in the audience, our procedures are as follows. Staff will make a presentation of the agenda item. At its conclusion, you'll be invited to come to the podium and give your comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, and I would ask that you comment only on this agenda item, please. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is requesting concept approval for this 55-lot traditional subdivision in the Rural Development 1 zoning district. The review of a concept plan is the first stage in the development approval process. Because the concept plan contains more than 49 lots, a public hearing is required. The applicant has requested action on this item be deferred until the March 2019 meeting to allow additional time to address all staff comments. Staff concurs with this request. Additionally, as public notice of this hearing was provided according to the zoning ordinance requirements, staff recommends the public hearing be held at this time.
Thank you, sir. We'll open the floor for the public hearing. First on the list is Mary Jane LaGros. Is that correct?
Yes.
You have the podium.
I appreciate the opportunity to be in this vestibule of concerned citizens on this great love day. I would like to simply say that I don't feel represented by this county because of the lack of communication received when these things are going forth. Now, we did have the yellow sign posted, one yellow sign posted along Bethesda Road. However, in previous meetings concerning property further down on that road for the rec center, I think we had an index card posted at the bottom of the stop sign on Reed Road. I would simply like to say I've lived in Williamson County most of my adult life, and I appreciate what you all do as members of the community to hear our voices. However, sometimes we don't feel like we're heard over big development. And I would simply like to request that you really look at these proposed plans and not just willy-nilly vote on them every time they come up over and over again. And our voices aren't heard when we're concerned about traffic, we're concerned about septic systems. There are no sewer systems along that area. But my biggest concern is a lack of communication. There is a great void between us, the people that elect you to these positions, and once you get behind the desk, we feel like we don't matter anymore. And I've got a fever. I need more cowbell. I hate to see the very thing that draws people to Williamson County being eaten away little by little. I want more cowbell. I want more cows out there, and the preservation of some areas to remain as they are, and to really consider containing some of the growth that's taken place. And I do not understand it. Maybe if I was on the other side of the desk, I would. But I do not understand, when is it going to stop?
Thank you, ma'am. Angela Hawkins.
I just simply want to say thank you for being here and to listen to every word that she said. We've lived in Tennessee our whole lives, and we're hearing other things that are coming out our way on each side of Bethesda Road that are huge, that we didn't ask for. And we know people can do what they want to do with their land, but this is like the last sweet area of Williamson County. And I agree with her that there's been no communication on any of the things that are approaching us. It's all been little signs. There's all been things on internet, some things that have popped up on the Nashville Business Journal that are like, what is going on? Just bam. We know Nashville is growing, but again, Williamson County is growing too big. And just as a citizen, we would just like to be notified with something in our mailbox of what's going on. And again, I agree with everything that this nice lady said.
Thank you, ma'am. Eric, and I cannot read the rest of it.
Hawkins.
Thank you. I can see that now.
All right. I just want to second and go along with what they said, and maybe give a new view of the way to think of things, because we're a small community, Bethesda. I know we have a small voice, but we are a strong community, and some people think of the land that's around there, that's just land that needs to be developed and something done with. Well, I'd like for you to consider it this way: that land is our home. And so consider, when this development goes on, a subdivision being put into your home, or a new development being put into your home that takes away your home. It's a way of life that's disappearing. And I'll also second for the thought of Williamson County, when there is anything put out there of what to draw people in. We know we're growing and understand that. It's not the crowded subdivisions and the traffic and everything out there, all the developments that's shown. It's the land. It's our land. And so I would just ask you, don't kill the goose. I mean, that's what the draw is. That's what Williamson County represents. That's what makes us valuable. And I just ask to give some thought to that when you are doing the planning, and consideration of that is people's homes that is affected, their way of life, their culture that they've grown up with and they've grown to love. And I know you love your homes too. So just maybe think of that, things that way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ted Payne.
Hi. Thanks for this opportunity to speak. I think I misunderstood the purpose of this. I thought we were going to be able to ask questions at this, but I assume not. So I have to say that this, the communication issue has been, I've felt that too. So I had some questions I was going to ask, but I guess if this isn't the forum for that, I'll just make some comments. I agree with everything that's been said. This is really a game changer for us. 21 years ago, we sold our house in Brentwood, moved out here where my wife grew up. So live in the country, it's beautiful, love it out here. When this goes through, this is not going to be the country anymore. These people are dragging the suburbs with them when they move out here. So I had questions about roads and infrastructure and what's coming. And is there going to be a traffic light at the intersection of Bethesda Road and Lewisburg Pike? And is it going to be like Christ Lane? And how many people are going to have to be killed in car wrecks there before they put in a light? Yeah, so and then if this isn't an opportunity to ask those questions about that, then I really don't know quite what to say, but it's a game changer. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I really don't know quite how to express it. It's like something that just crashed in the middle of your yard and it's there and you can't do anything about it. And just doesn't make you feel at home anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mike Oliver.
Good evening. I'd like to reiterate, first of all, the common feeling apparently that we're pretty much left in the dark. Everything seems to come at us, and we find out after the fact. This development, 55 homes right around the corner from where I happen to live, neither here nor there, but it is our Bethesda area. My issue, specific issue right at this point, is what's being looked at for traffic control infrastructure. It's been brought up. It always seems to follow way long after the fact, after everything is done, developed. Somebody thinks, hey, we need to work on these roads, we need to work on traffic control. What's being done at this point when the developer is proposing this new development, especially in light of the rec center going in right next door, the traffic amount, the amount of traffic in that area could really dramatically increase. The intersection right now at Bethesda, 431, along with the intersection at Thompson Station Road, is already a nightmare. You can wait there for 10 minutes in the morning trying to get out on your way to work. What is being done? How is that being dovetailed into both of these projects, for that matter, and future projects? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Nolan Walton.
Hello, nice to meet y'all. I just want to make a few comments. First, to let you know, I was raised here in Williamson County. I was born in this building back when it was a hospital. I'm trying to stay on subject as far as Bethesda. The lady that owns the land, I know her, love her to death, sweet lady. I want her to get all the money she can. But at the same time, looking at Williamson County and the Bethesda area, I was raised right where 840 comes across Columbia Highway. I was raised on a farm area. I've seen change go on in this county. I've seen how fast it's been growing. Went to Burwood School, went to Evergreen. Most people don't know where they at. They ain't never seen them or heard of them before. But at the same time, in the Bethesda community, it's starting to grow real fast, really, really fast. I know the land that's down through there has to have 5 acres to build a house. I've got a niece and a nephew. They've tried to build a house for a good while. I know other people have tried to build a house. People that are from this area have a hard time getting a permit to do a septic line, build a house. And I know when it comes into a subdivision, that's quick money right there, and I know there's another fee that's put in on them, so the county is looking at extra money right there, right off the top. But at the same time, with the rec center coming in right down the road, that, a gun shooting range down the road, down 431, I know we're looking at another subdivision area. With the way it's growing, I would ask that y'all remember that this is Williamson County. It used to be the country. I know it's growing. And I know we're supposed to be one of the richest counties in Tennessee, but we're going to be poorer than dirt before long with the more people that move in. I know most people would not agree with that, but we will be poorer than dirt, not being able to afford enough schools. We won't have enough land for the schools with all the subdivisions that's being built in. I would just ask, think to yourself, how long will it be before Spring Hill goes back to wanting to incorporate that area in the Spring Hill city limits? I won't have it because I'll leave before I be part of Spring Hill. And how long will it be before we turn into the Antioch of this area? Think about that. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Alan Rosenhauer.
Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. I live on the north side of the property, so our backyard is this new property. I was hoping to ask a question because I too didn't understand the venue here. But the buffer, the landscape buffer between the two properties, I think is an A, and I'm not sure why. Most of us along that northern edge of the property have livestock, cows, horses, other things, and we have the minimum amount of buffer space between us based on from what I've read on the plans, and I'm not an engineer, and I'm a computer engineer. I'm not a landscape engineer, but I'm just curious why that was set as the minimum buffer as opposed to the B between an agricultural and a subdivision. And then echoing what everyone else here has said, communication can be better, and 431 is getting bad, and I rue the day when Greystone Quarry has 7,500 people leaving on Harpeth School Road, and we're trying to get anywhere around there. That we have all of this growth, and the roads, it took way too long for Kreitz to get a light, and the road hasn't been widened, and it's getting bad. I don't have a problem with growth, but we got to do both. We got to have the people and the infrastructure kind of staying in pace, because it's becoming the worst part of my commute is just to get to 840. So thank you.
Thank you. Didi Kaufman.
Thank you all. I moved to Bethesda Road, Reed Road in Bethesda 24 years ago. And when I moved there, people kept saying, why are you going so far out where there's nothing? Well, I can tell you that now they don't say that anymore. And unfortunately, the reason I moved out there was because there was nothing, so to speak. It was a wonderful place. It still is a wonderful place. But I'm very concerned about what is happening to that area. It seems like the growth is just going skyrocketing all over the place. And I wish somebody would be concerned about what is happening to our lovely community. There has been, again, no communication. I have not seen the plans. I don't know what the plans look like. They haven't been advertised. I haven't seen them posted any place or signs for posting them any place. There's one little tiny sign, the public hearing sign, and I know a lot of the people on Reed Road where we live don't even know what's going in there. I've heard there's 100 homes, 80 homes, 84 homes, 50 homes. We don't even know what the plans are or what they look like or anything else. The lack of communication has just far exceeded anything I know. And the second point is just the transportation. Again, like everyone has said, sometimes it takes 8 or 10 minutes right now to get out onto Lewisburg Pike from Bethesda Road. If there are 50 or 80 homes in there, I can't imagine what it'll be like. The traffic will be backed up as far as I live on Reed Road. And then I used to work for Department of Transportation, and I know that then TDOT's going to get blamed for it because there's not enough traffic and there's not enough everything. I know there's nothing on their 5-year plan for this road at all. There probably isn't anything on their 15-year plan for another road there. So you have to take those things into consideration before you just willy-nilly go approving these huge lots which destroy our entire community and why we actually came to this area to begin with. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Claude Bingham.
I have no comment that has not already been voiced. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You're the briefest one so far. Roy Look.
Oh, that's where you look at it.
I've heard everything that everyone said about the lack of communication, but I'm sitting here thinking to myself, what didn't I do? What could I have done to make myself aware of these plans and to have looked at them and come up with some comments? Because I thought, out of ignorance, that that's what this meeting was, that we were going to be shown what's going to be happening and why, and whether it was in compliance with the ordinances or not, and so on. So I think that understanding the process and knowing where we can get this information on our own, instead of expecting potentially that you all are supposed to give it to us. So I know it's kind of a question. I don't know what the normal protocol and agenda is, whether we can do a timeout and maybe someone can explain those kind of things to us or not, but regardless.
I'm going to take a second, and when you finish, to ask staff to give you some of the procedures here so that you'll have some understanding. Go ahead.
That's it. That's it.
That's it?
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. That concludes the public hearings. We'll close the public hearing at this time. You bet. Commissioner?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
There was another lady, Sarah.
Now, wait a minute. I didn't say you could invite the home crowd.
Please.
No. Commissioner? Commissioner?
I informed her.
Okay.
I told her that you would call the public hearing that you would ask if there were any other comments before you close the public hearing.
Procedure is you sign in.
Yes, sir.
After
Thank you. My mistake.
Except for commissioners. You
Yes,
have the
sir.
floor.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm Betsy Hester, and I want to thank you for letting me be here tonight and address you very briefly. And I'd like to say I appreciate all the people in the audience who came, and if they want better communication, I'd be glad to take any of their email addresses and communicate with them. I also want to say that I am elected, so you can diselect me if you wish, but my phone number, my mailing address, and my email is all on the county website, and it has been there for over 13 years. I was present at the Bethesda Recreation Center the other night, and there was a big crowd there, so there doesn't seem to be a lot of too much problem with communication in some instances. But again, I'm elected. These folks, I appreciate all of you serving, because I know that you are not elected except for our one county commissioner who does serve on this board. I also want to say briefly that a lot of our development in this county is because of the incorporated cities and not the unincorporated county. I will be available outside. You probably want to send us all outside, Mr. Lackey. I don't know. But anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Betsy.
And may I say one more thing? My children went to Bethesda and played basketball there. I was a part of the Bethesda community, so thank you.
Thank you. Mike, can you answer a few of those questions that were raised, particularly about where they might find plans to look at if they so choose?
Yeah, I'd be happy to address communication and procedure. And let me start by saying that I appreciate the comments that have been given tonight. I think we all do. From a communication standpoint, we follow what's in the zoning ordinance, directing us to do certain things for public hearings, and that includes posting the site with a sign and sending direct mail, but only to those properties that adjoin the site. And some people did call as a result of that, admittedly limited outreach. And we had an opportunity at that point to share the plans and answer questions and that sort of thing. In this case, staff is recommending that this item be deferred for another month. And so that will provide an opportunity for you all and others who have questions and concerns to express those to planning staff and other staff members outside of this meeting in advance of the meeting. And some of the things that you point out, we would be happy to take into consideration in our review of it if it's something that directly speaks to whether or not the proposal meets zoning ordinance requirements. The other thing I'll mention from the standpoint of how people can get involved going forward, there are a number of ways. One, this body meets every month, and the agendas are posted in advance, and so I would encourage people to hop on the website and see what's on the agenda, and if something sparks your interest, call us and ask questions and even come in, and we'd be more than happy to sit down and go over things with you. The other thing that I'll mention in terms of citizen feedback is that, as Mr. Horn mentioned briefly in the announcements, the county is working to update the comprehensive plan, which is the policy document that talks about growth and development. And so if people have, and you obviously do, when citizens have concerns or ideas about the future of the county, that's going to be a great forum for you to express those, because the plan that will be updated sets the foundation for the zoning that then comes in to help implement the plan, and that would have a direct impact in what takes place. And I would say that whether, regardless of whether people are for development or against development, what's important is that people who have an interest in the future of the county get involved and participate in those plans. So that's probably a longer answer than what you were calling for, but the fact that it's going to be deferred will give some time for you to ask specific questions. Mr. Holmes and I would be happy to meet with you in our office and go over the plans in detail. So I would invite you to do that.
Thank you, sir. We had a recommendation by staff for deferment. Is there a motion? Motion made and seconded to defer. Prepare to vote. Vote now. Well, do it again. I'm looking at it. Thank you. Motion carries. Folks, if you want to stay with us, you're welcome to, but you're also welcome to. Betsy, you're getting like a jack in the box.
Apologize. On the agenda tonight is not anything about the gun and rod club on Lewisburg Pike, and that is for a reason. I'm going to say it's not on the agenda, and I know there's some people here who are concerned about it, but
it won't be discussed.
yes, sir, I know that. I wanted to make that perfectly clear. Thank you.
And the Rod and Gun and Bethesda Road. If you'd like to leave, you're welcome to do so. But good, you can stay with us and figure out how we do this.
Yeah, that'd be a mystery to figure out.
Thank you. Jerk what? That'd be a mystery. No, we're planning commission. Yeah, and we're not elected, we're appointed. So you can't vote us out. Darn. Yeah. Hey, ma'am. Is this the right one? Give this to one of your friends. It's my copy. Okay. Now you can spread it around. Do what? Come on, folks. Pedal harder. What? Can you herd cats? Herd cats. Order, please. If I can find the agenda. Thank you, Sammy. Agenda item 22, amendment to Article 23 of the Williamson County zoning ordinance regarding decibel measurement standards. Staff?
The zoning ordinance establishes maximum sound standards for certain types of development. Decibel levels are measured on different scales, most commonly the A scale and the C scale. However, the zoning ordinance does not currently specify which scales shall be utilized. After further research, it was determined that the maximum standards presently assigned in the zoning ordinance correspond with measurement of decibel levels on the A scale, and that the A scale is most appropriate for use in a regulatory context such as the zoning ordinance. This proposed text amendment clarifies this measurement standard so that enforcement authority of maximum sound levels will be more clear and effective. Staff recommends approval of this proposed text amendment. Staff also recommends that the attached resolution be forwarded to the County Commission for adoption. And I will just add that the plan is to have that resolution on the County Commission agenda in May.
Questions of council?
Was there anyone signed up for the public hearing for this?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
They did not. Do I need to open and close?
Not since you just noted that no one had signed in.
No one signed up for the public hearing. I understand why. Okay, any questions? Council? Yes, sir. I'm going to make an exception, which I don't normally do. If you have something valid to contribute, thank you.
I did hire an engineer and have some recommendations made for the staff and Mrs. Attorney. I live in an area that is profoundly, yes, sir.
3 minutes.
Yes, is profoundly impacted by the measurement of sound. And I know that the issue tonight is to strike a balance by choosing a measurement scale to keep the decibels below a certain level. This is kind of hard to understand, but I'm going to explain it this way. The A level, or the A measurement, is for sounds that are treble oriented. And the C scale is for measuring sounds that are bass oriented. Many of us have been at a stoplight and had a car pull up and it was boom, 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 boom. Those are the C areas of sound. 55 decibels is the maximum property line decibel level that's allowable for, let's say, a wedding venue. But the problem is, when you're measuring with the A scale, a 55 decibel level, the C level sounds, which are the bass, might actually be 60 or 65 decibels. So when you measure via the A scale, it doesn't take into account the more powerful tones. Whereas if you flipped it and measured by the C scale, if the C scale was kept below 55 decibels, the A's would necessarily be less. So if you use C, you're safe across the board. If you use A, the C sounds might still be higher. So again.
And wait, summarize for me, please.
Summarize. I've hired an engineer to explain it in detail, and he's written this report, and I'd like to offer it for consideration.
Council.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
You bet. Christie, have any other comments? Questions? 2 hands. Pete, I saw yours first. Go.
Becky Hester made mention a while ago about a gun range being proposed out that end of the county. Will decimal range change how you measure?
I don't know what range a rifle falls in.
I don't know anything about what you're talking about, so I'm just asking the stupid question.
I understand. Don?
Going along with what everybody said so far, I did a little investigation on this, and what Pete's talking about, the explosion and stuff would be under your C scale, would fall under your C scale. My question to the attorney is, with the Board of Zoning Appeals, the things that come before us, where somebody wants to have a garage with car engines and truck engines and stuff like that involved in it, that would fall under the C scale. Would this stop us from using the C scale in that case?
Yes, this would assign, we don't have decibel measurements for every type of use. I mean, we have use categories, and specific uses have decibel measurements. If someone is working on a car in their garage at their personal home, that's not going to be something that we address. But this assigns the A scale for a measurement standard every time a decibel number is listed in the zoning ordinance.
Okay, what I was talking about where we have somebody come for a special use to have a car garage on their property, that the C scale would be what we would use to keep the sound of the engine down and the sound of the machinery down.
The C scale would not be the measurement that would be used for the standards that are in the zoning ordinance now.
Okay, well, my suggestion, my thoughts on that, if we're not, we need to look at using the C scale because of that type of thing that would come before us.
If we're going to use the C scale, then we need to revisit the numbers that are in the book.
Okay.
And that's why I've chosen the A scale, so that we at least have a measurement standard now. If we need to revisit what those numbers are, that's a different study.
But how is that different?
How is what different?
You said we'd be looking at a different...
Yeah, because if you're measuring the C scale, there'll probably be different numbers established for what you're measuring. The numbers that we have in there now, like for instance 55 at the property level.
Already A scale?
It corresponds more closely with A scale measurements now.
I'm going to ask the all-time probably dumbest question I've ever asked, so y'all listen up. Why can't you use both?
Because it's two different measurements. It's two different numbers, and that's not how the zoning ordinance is established right now. So if we're going to do that, then we need to have standards for each measurement. Right now it just says decibel. It doesn't say how to measure it, and so the BZA directed me to research it and bring you an amendment, and that's what I've done. So if we're going to have that, another thing that we can look at, frankly, is to do away with numbers altogether and to come up with another standard for how these things might affect next door neighbors. That's another approach that governments and jurisdictions have looked at.
You'll have to help me with that.
Well, I'll have to research it.
I can't imagine unless you're measuring it electronically what could... I mean, I can't hear thunder, so it, you know, it's, you don't want me on the line out there listening to.
Well, like for instance, in the DBA scale, 55 is something like a refrigerator, or conversation is even less than that. Like a rifle would be 130 on the DBA scale. Well, that's way above 55 at the property level. And so the numbers that I've researched on the DBA scale most closely match what the numbers already are in the zoning ordinance. It just clarifies the measurement. So again, if the will of the group is that those numbers be revisited, that's a different action, that's a different study.
I think the will of the group is to get it manageable and so that we eliminate any problems. We've got numbers, a standard. You think you're there? Is that what you're telling us?
I think I'm there for the numbers that are in the book now, yes.
All right. Any other questions? And you are?
And I am. Well, first of all, I'm going to take responsibility for not notifying the community member correctly on signing in for the public hearing. I'm like Betsy, or Commissioner Hester. I thought we would ask if there was anybody else present. Can we defer action on this? I mean, I would rather, instead of presenting an amendment now, is presenting it as a whole and getting it right the first time. If we need to assign a scale, but then we need to look at the numbers, I mean, is that something we do separately or together?
I'm not sure I'm following you separate or together. You either like what council said, or you think we need to look some more at it and defer it a month. That's two alternatives.
Yeah,
Is that what you're talking about?
Basically, because I'm still learning. And it's like, and I know we don't always like to present amendment after amendment after amendment, you know, to our ordinance policy. So, I mean, I know where, you know, Board of Zoning of Appeals have asked for a scale, but if it's a scale that we're going to have to look at the decibel levels and revise anyway, are we revising, is it double duty? I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
So I just need some
other thoughts?
Help on that.
I'm sorry, you finished?
No, I'm good.
Good. Miss Beth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had kind of a similar question, Christy, and just that, is this productive, and it could very well be, that we pass this tonight, so there's a standard that's going forward for this A scale, and then what I think I heard you say is that if we wanted we all agree that we would like to have more information about the C scale and those levels particularly being incorporated in a new text amendment? That would be a separate process?
I'm fine with the numbers as they are, and I am recommending to you the DBA scale based on my research, and as someone who is going to be working with codes compliance and enforcement, having a number and a scale that the number goes with is something that I'm going to need, and the codes compliance director is going to need if we're going to actually enforce these numbers. But my point is, if you all want the numbers to reflect something different, then that's a different study, that's a different look. The DBA scale that I'm recommending goes with the standards that are in there now. If that's not going to address the problem, then that's a bigger look for me.
I think that with some of the information presented, all of us are kind of digesting the A scale and the C scale. And so I think that's been very contributive, but we want to be responsive to that information and also allow you to have what you need to do your job in the interim. And maybe I'm not a sound specialist, so I defer to those, who.
Well, the other point is, this isn't going to county commission until May. So if you all need another month to study this, and I can put together some more information for you, that's fine too. But we've still got a while to advertise it to even get it to the county commission. So
Defer.
I'll move to defer.
You do it?
Yes, sir.
You got a second?
Thank you
Motion
so
made,
much, Chris.
Seconded. Any further discussion? We have a motion to defer for 1 month for further study. Anything else? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Whoa. Now we're in. Wait a minute.
It was stuck on 21. It was on item 21.
Oh, was it? Pete and Beth. Now recorded. The motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 23 under old business, preliminary plat review for Terra Vista subdivision phase 1, containing 29 lots on 39.97 acres located off Long Lane in the 12th voting district.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A concept plan for this development was approved at the May 2018 meeting. The applicant is now requesting preliminary plat approval for the first phase of the development, which consists of 29 lots, 25.37 acres of open space, and the wastewater treatment and disposal areas, which were approved under a separate site plan at the October 2017 and May 2018 meetings. Within the development, the applicant is requesting a right-of-way width of 40 feet and a design speed of 25 miles per hour for internal roadways. Staff is in support of these requests. The preliminary plat is largely consistent in layout with that depicted on the approved concept plan. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat with the following conditions, which shall be addressed in conjunction with final plat consideration. Number 1, prior to final plat submittal for the first section of the proposed subdivision, a zoning certificate must be obtained for the completed treatment and disposal system. Prior to issuance of the zoning certificate, the applicant shall provide the following. A monitoring plan approved by TDEC showing the location of monitoring wells and surface water sampling locations to assess the impact of the wastewater disposal system on ground and surface water in the area surrounding the disposal fields. B, proof that any required Class 5 injection wells permits have been issued by TDEC. C, a letter from TDEC indicating that said system to serve this development was installed and is functioning. D, as-built drawings showing the location of all system components as well as the monitoring wells as shown on the monitoring plan approved by TDEC, and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that said system and monitoring components were constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans and specifications. E, a letter from the owner/utility provider indicating that it has accepted said system to serve this development and is currently operating same. And F, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $120,000 for said system as specified by the county's wastewater consultant. Number 2, proof that any required Class 5 injection well permits have been issued by TDEC. 3, the HOA documents must be submitted with the final plat, and the approved HOA documents must be recorded concurrently with the recording of the final plat. 4, establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. 5, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Mill Crofton Utility District. 6, establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system. 7, submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. 8, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And 9, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat. Mr. Chairman, there's some additional information on your desks that we have included for you regarding this item.
What did you do with it?
It's labeled as attachment to item 23.
That one in the window.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
The information is on your desk because I asked staff to put it out there.
Say that again.
The information is on your desk because I asked staff to put it out there. It's just some information on the drainage calculations so that it will be in the record.
This is a little overwhelming to deal with at this point.
It's just a representation of the pre-developed and post-developed drainage areas. So if you have any questions of the narrative that you see attachment, label as attachment to item 23, just kind of goes over the basics of the approach to stormwater.
Okay. What the hell am I doing with it? Where am I? Discussion? Questions, comments? Thoughts? Anyone? Motion? Sir? Sure.
We were giving a stormwater runoff sheet tonight when we came in. And what little I read through it, it looked like it's going to double the stormwater runoff at the 5, 10, 15, 20, 100-year floodplain to the east. Is this good planning, or is this just getting the water out of the way for them and somebody else?
Maybe I can answer that question.
The second thing is, we're requiring them to put in monitoring wells for the sewer system. I haven't seen monitoring wells required since the 80s and 90s. Does this statement that staff thinks that maybe they ain't gonna work up there on that hillside? And if it don't work, who's gonna pay for getting it down to Franklin City sewage? We've got some serious planning problems with this development, and I can't see how we can support it. Thank you.
As far as the stormwater, they are increasing the volume post-development, but not the flow rate. And that's what they have to do under our regulations, is not increase the peak flow rate.
You didn't hear a word of that. Other comments? Who? Anyone else? There a motion?
Sammy wants to know.
Sammy?
May I ask why were we given the drainage calculations, please?
I asked staff to put that out for you so that I would have that information in the record. It also shows that the water is being diverted around the wastewater drip fields, and that was a complaint that had been made at previous approvals. And so I wanted that information in your record.
Okay.
Folks, it's going to die for lack of motion very shortly. If No one's willing to make a motion.
Approved after so many days.
Beth?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What I want to clarify is that whether we like the development or not, it meets all of the zoning ordinance requirements. Staff has done a thorough job. I understand that, right? They've made sure that everything's according to the ordinance. And as I understand it, Christy's given us this information not to necessarily digest it this evening, but to be on the public record. So if it goes forward, it is part of that solid package of information. Is that correct, Christy?
Correct. That information is always in background of every development that you see.
Right. Being a little bit newer on the commission, I would really appreciate hearing from some of the other established members for maybe some concerns on this development also, and maybe you've had a longer time to look at it. I'd love to hear from some of my colleagues.
Beth, the first thought that comes to mind is that I have a great deal of confidence in this staff.
Yeah, I do too.
And I am confident it is in full and absolute, to the T, dot the I, in compliance with our regulations. We've already been sued over it. We'll be sued again if we turn it down by the other side, because it is in compliance, and we will lose. We will spend thousands of dollars and lose. She cannot win when it's in compliance and we turn it down. It's not possible. Don?
I just clarify what was just said. Our attorney said this attachment they gave is what's in our records right now, or in there right now. This is just clarifying for us to be in the records.
Yes, this
But
is
it's
all.
already
This
in
information is always provided with every subdivision, and it's part of the staff's report. In this case, I wanted to put the actual numbers in the record before you, in case I need them.
Okay. In that case, I'll move to accept staff's recommendation.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now.
What was the actual motion?
Move for approval.
He can't hear you. Don? Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 24. Preliminary plat review for Arrington Ridge subdivision phase 2 containing 33 lots on 64.08 acres located off Cox Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As noted in the announcements, a revised report is in front of you now. The revision was to correct a typo in the name of the attachment. The body of the report is the exact same as that which you received last week. A concept plan for this development was approved at the body of the May 2017 meeting. The applicant now is requesting preliminary plat approval for the second phase of this development, which contains 33 lots and approximately 51 acres of open space. The plat is consistent in layout with the approved concept plan. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat with the following conditions. The final plat must address the following. Prior to final plat submittal, turn lane improvements on Cox Road must be completed to the satisfaction of the Williamson County Highway Superintendent. Prior to final plat submittal, a zoning certificate must be obtained for the completed wastewater treatment and disposal system. Prior to issuance of a zoning certificate, the applicant shall provide the following. A letter from TDEC indicating that said treatment and disposal system was installed and is functioning. As-built drawings showing the location of all treatment system components, and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that said treatment system was constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans and specifications. A letter from the owner utility provider indicating that accepted said treatment system is currently operating same. The posting of a performance bond in the amount of $120,000 for said treatment and disposal system as specified by the county's wastewater consultant, and the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $50,600 for landscaping improvements. Prior to consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the County Attorney's Office. The HOA documents must be submitted with the final plat, and the approved HOA documents must be recorded concurrently with the recording of the final plat. Establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Millcrofton Utility District. Establishment of a performance bond for wastewater collection system. Submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. Execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements, and the submission of a final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plane Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions of staff? Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? I see none, hear none. Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 25, preliminary plat review for Stevens Valley Phase 6, excuse me, containing 77 lots on 23.76 acres, located off of Jackson Falls Drive in the 9th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A concept plan for this development was approved by this body at the April 2016 meeting. The applicant is now requesting preliminary plat approval for Phase 6 of the development, which includes 77 lots and approximately 4.3 acres of open space. The preliminary plat is consistent in layout and substantially conforms to the approved concept plan. Based on the number of lots proposed on this preliminary plat, this phase will trigger the need for turn lane improvements at the intersection of Sneed Road and Timberline Drive. Design plans for those improvements have been approved by the County Highway Commission as required at this juncture. Construction of those improvements will be required prior to submittal of a final plat in accordance with the traffic impact study review findings provided by the county's traffic engineering consultant. Staff recommends approval of this preliminary plat with the following conditions, which must be addressed in conjunction with final plat consideration. 1, prior to final plat submittal, off-site roadway improvements required in association with individual sections of the development as stipulated in the traffic impact study review findings provided by the county's traffic engineering consultant must be completed in accordance with the approved plans. 2, prior to submittal of a final plat for the section of the development that includes lots between Trace Creek and the Timberline subdivision, the specific method for ensuring emergency access must be installed and deemed operational by the county's emergency management department. Number 3, establishment of performance bonds for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Number 4, establishment of a performance bond for water and sewer improvements in favor of Harpeth Valley Utilities District. 5, submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping, which shall include any bond required by the National Park Service related to the Natchez Trace Parkway reforestation plan. 6, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And 7, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plane Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you, sir. Questions, staff? Comments? Motion. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 26, final plat review for Daventry, Section 1, reapproval, containing 14 lots on 52.09 acres located off Tullis Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A revised plan for this section of the development was approved at the August 9th, 2018 meeting. All of the required bonds have yet to be posted, and as such, the approval of the final plat has expired. The applicant is requesting reapproval of the final plat. Staff recommends reapproval with the following conditions. Number 1, the approved HOA documents shall be concurrently recorded with the recording of the final plat. Number 2, posting of a performance bond in the amount of $396,000 for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Number 3, posting of a performance bond in the amount of $488,000 for water improvements as specified by Millcrofton Utility District. Number 4, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $48,000 for the wastewater collection system. Number 5, posting of a performance bond in the amount of $81,510 for landscaping improvements. Number 6, the applicant shall submit a letter to the Planning Department agreeing to have a registered professional engineer involved in the construction phase for roads, drainage, and erosion control of the project for the purpose of monitoring construction in order to ensure conformity with approved plans and specifications. Number 7, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And number 8, the applicant shall provide 2 copies of the final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you, sir. Questions of staff? Comments? Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Motion carries. Thank you. We had a non-agenda item added in. It is a bond for wastewater improvements for South Creek Rural Retreat. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On July 27, 2017, the Board of Zoning Appeals approved a special use permit for the operation of a rural retreat extensive use on the subject properties, and a site plan for this use has been reviewed by staff. However, HB&TS Utility District is requiring the posting of a performance bond for water improvements, and the required bond must be established by the Planning Commission prior to final site plan approval by staff. Staff recommends the establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of HB&TS Utility District in the amount of $252,000 as specified by the district.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Motion to adjourn. We're gone. Thank you.